My uncle began dating a woman who had a daughter my age. As the family's black sheep, I found an unexpected connection with this outsider. My uncle, with his weird sense of humor. It's the first time I try to tell any story about someone meaningful in my life. I know some of our behavior is controversial, but I couldn't see things happening any different at the time, and I try to be the most honest possible. I apologize for anyone who could relate in any way or feel offended by those behaviors. My uncle began dating a woman who had a daughter my age. As the family's black sheep, I found an unexpected connection with this outsider. My uncle, with his weird sense of humor, playfully pushed us together, making lighthearted jokes about cousins dating. Being young adults, we took it as harmless uncle humor rather than anything inappropriate. We connected instantly. Our friendship developed mostly through online chatting since we lived in different cities. What started as occasional messages evolved into daily conversations lasting hours. We looked forward to our rare in-person meetings, usually during monthly family gatherings at my grandmother's house in a small town away from the city rush. With time, the whole family took up on teasing about us being a couple, which only pushed us to spend more time alone together. One winter evening, following my mother's complaints about my absence from church, this cousin volunteered to drag me to services. Neither of us was religious. Everyone knew she was just teasing me, but both our mothers were pleased. Her mother particularly welcomed the idea of us doing something more social than our usual habit of isolating ourselves with books. We drove to the hilltop church in that small town, but found no service that Sunday evening. We waited in the car beside the massive white walls of the Baroque church, sheltering from the light rain and listening to music while exchanging jokes. Our conversation drifted to joking about being such sinners that the church closed its doors to us. What happened next was spontaneous. She climbed onto my seat, kneeling over my lap, face to face and close, but without really touching each other. It wasn't sexual. We were just two 18-year-olds fooling around in a cramped car. With all the contortion in the small car, one of her shirt buttons came undone, and I made a joke about it. She shifted back, accidentally hitting the horn, making us both laugh. As she adjusted her position, she lowered herself onto my lap. Our faces got close, and our first kiss became inevitable. Our relationship defied conventional labels. We were family who craved each other's company, sharing a deep connection that transcended typical romantic partnerships. It was a kind of deep love that felt more profound than what romantic partners have, yet it wasn't sexual 99% of the time. We could be our true selves without worries, free from the need to play any games. Despite the initial geographical separation and my eventual emigration to another country on the other side of the world, her job as a cabin attendant allowed us to meet more often than other family members. We usually introduced ourselves as cousins, and no friend has ever questioned that, but sometimes things just happened in a very natural way. During one reunion after a year apart, we traveled together. She spoke happily about her relationship with her boyfriend, yet we ended up intimate. When I questioned her about fidelity, she looked honestly shocked and explained that our connection was beyond conventional relationships, so fundamentally deep that no genuine good person would feel threatened by it. Her words left me confused and conflicted. Although I shared her feelings and understood her perspective, I couldn't fully reconcile it with my own emotions. This confusion led to mutual distance. We maintained our cousin relationship, meeting occasionally but avoiding intimacy. Our interactions were honest and open, but we refrained from physical involvement for a while. Our most recent meeting spanned 3 days of pure enjoyment, eating, walking, and sharing stories. I hadn't enjoyed anyone's company like that in years. She announced her engagement to that same boyfriend on the first day of our meeting, which didn't diminish our happiness or companionship. We were both genuinely happy and didn't need to hook up to enjoy each other's presence. On the final day, I took her back to Narita Airport, where a melancholic atmosphere surrounded our farewell. I assumed it was just the post-holiday blues, the inevitable return to reality and work routines on the next day. She checked in as standby for a flight departing in a few minutes and ran to the security checkpoint. Then she suddenly stopped, ran back, and wrapped her arms around my neck, kissing me amid the crowded terminal, witnessed by her shocked colleagues who knew me only as her cousin. That was the most genuine kiss I'd ever shared, different from any before. Her lips felt unfamiliar, yet in that moment our feelings were mutual and we fully understood each other. As we kissed, I felt the unmistakable warmth and saltiness of tears on our lips. As suddenly as she came back, she went once again running, and I could see she was crying profusely but smiling,